So let's talk about my August 2016 sales. As it turns out, I had a record month, actually the best month I've ever had in my 2-year FBA career or business. I sold 412 items, 412. My previous best month was actually the previous month, July, and when I sold 248, which was 2 better than I did, I believe, a month or 2 before that, which was 246. And before that, my best month was 226 in January, which was the other back to school month. So basically, I went from 248 to 412, all because of everybody going back to school. Now, when you dig into the numbers, it turns out that of the 412 sales, 351 of them were books, which is about 84%. And then I sold 45 CDs, 45, and 13 VHS tapes, and a few other random items. The bulk of it was books, 84%, and about 14 to 15% of it was VHS tapes and CDs, with CDs being most of the other that I sold for August. Also, my ASP was $14.09, which was my highest ASP since April of this year. The previous 3 months had been in the $12 range. That was due to me selling more higher priced books. So for instance, I went back and counted, and I sold 11 books for over $40. 11. And quite a few of those were 50 and up. And I sold quite a few there over 30 and many over 20. So that was why my ASP was raised a little bit. Now, when you look at most of my numbers though, and most of my sales, my prices are a little bit lower on average, because just the bulk of my books were selling for less, and they were school related, some were non-school related, but most of them were having to do with back to school because it was just that time. So what this pointed out to me is that if I want to take advantage of back to school, which is only, of course, about 3 months combined, about 3 months out of the year, but those 2 months, January, August, and also into September and into February, so basically about 4 months, 3 to 4 months, those months you can make a high percentage of your income if you're not selling as many during the rest of the year, if you're focused on that. But what I want to do is sell a lot all year, every month, and have those spikes in back to school months. Definitely looking at my numbers, I want to sell more books. So I only sold 351 books in August, which was more than I sold combined with everything in July, the previous month of 248. So that's great. But it says to me that I definitely need to send in more school-related books as I get closer to the back-to-school months, especially now considering that January is going to come pretty quick. Going to have the holidays, which is going to be an awesome time as well for books and CDs and VHS tapes and records if you're doing that. But January will be here in about 4.5 months in terms of when another surge of back-to-school book buying will happen, school-related book buying will happen. So that's not that much time versus from mid-February all the way to August, which is a bit more time to build up your school-related book inventory. It just says to me, and maybe to you guys, if you look at your numbers, that you want to send in more school-related books. Now, for me, it's not like I'm passing up school books saying, oh no, I'm gonna not buy those now and buy them later. I always buy, books that have the good rank, have consistent sales, have lower offers, competition, lower FBA offers, higher prices, etc. My parameters are still in place all year, so it's not like I'm passing up school books just to buy other books for the rest of the year. But it just says to me that for me personally, I need to find more sources. So I just need to work on having more or better sources for school-related books, and whatever that may be. You just need to find better sources, maybe hit up more yard sales, more estate sales, find some people that are linked in or plugged into schools, whatever it may be. It's just a great opportunity to make a lot of money. Looking at people's numbers on various Facebook groups that they posted for August, some people were doing $30,000 in sales, $10,000 in sales, $20,000 in sales, even more. I took a look at my sales for individual days, and the least amount of sales I had in one day was 6 for 1 or 2 days for August. And the most sales I had in one day was 25, which was on August 16th. And that was the beginning of the back to school rush. The week of August 15th was when the craziness started and actually lasted 4 weeks. So today's September 12th, and last week it was still going strong, and now it's sort of petered out, and there's not really too much left for back to school sales. I'm sure there's going to be some because some people go back middle or late September to school, but most are already back in school by this time, I believe, especially based on my sales. Today I have about 4 sales or so, which is fine for about midday, but it's nowhere near what it was doing last week, where I was still doing 8. For the month of August, I shipped in 339 items and sold 412, so sold more than I shipped in, which was great. But of course, that had to do with back to school. But I'm still thinking that sales are going to be pretty strong in September, and we'll see about October. Last year, October for me was a lot slower, but I didn't have near the amount of inventory I have, nor was I sending in as many as I am now. But definitely November and December will pick up for sales. They should, based upon what I did last year. Even if, since we were all selling a lot of books in August, we still should keep doing consistent shipments. I mean, basically consistent shipments all year, unless you're taking, vacation or retiring or whatever it is. Even though the sales are going great, you want to keep on sending those books in, especially if they're ones that might sell when you can take advantage of back to school time, sell in August, especially during those last few months. Also, I saw a good amount of books sell in August that I bought in 2015. I actually sold 15 books in August for $20+ that I bought or sourced in 2015. Some of those I had sourced over a year ago or close to it. The prices, I just kept them where they were, more of a long tail, and so some of them were related to school. They were purchased at higher prices because I stuck to the price. So the point is, long tails can definitely work, and they can actually be to your advantage if you wait until, not wait, but if you keep the price into the back to school times in August and January, you can potentially sell those for the higher prices, but you definitely should be only listing them at those high prices if you think they can sell. But it helps to get that boost in the back to school time. So that was something that was interesting to see, a lot of those sales from books I had sourced a long time ago. Overall, it was a great month, something that I've been talking about on this channel for months, going back to when I first started doing daily vlogs earlier in the year, especially into the summer. I was talking a lot about it, and it went really well for me. I was trying to get, my goal had been to get between 400 to 500 sales in August, and I definitely hit that. And considering that the first week of September was also back to school, technically you can count that towards back to school numbers, and I definitely did over another, close to 100 probably, at least 80 or so. So all told, back to school books were probably in the closer to 500 range, or 450 or whatever you want to call it. Looking at the numbers, I know that I can do a much better next year, and hopefully even better in January. So I'm going to work hard to get a lot more books in for January, and then in terms of August, which is the best back to school time, is when you can basically sell the most books you've ever sold. I just want to source consistently and ship consistently and build up my inventory so that future back to school months can be even better. For August of next year, I want to do 1,000+ in book sales. And I think I can do that if I get my inventory up to much more than what it is now. It was 2,500 or so. Well, it's almost down to 2,500 at this point, 2,550 or so, 55. It was a little bit higher once I started in August for back to school. But I think if I can get it up to 4,000 to 5,000, that I should be able, and definitely to 5,000, I should be able to do 1,000 sales. And that's a big goal, but I definitely know I can do it. I think in order to do that, or help me do that, I need to ship in about 250 a week, which is tough for me. I'm going to be able to start sourcing actually this week I'll be able to source 4 days technically, because you can count Saturday. So Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. Got an additional day to source. I should be able to bump my numbers up. Now, 250 books for the week is a lot for me. I'd have to get about 60, 65 books a day, which is just, to be honest, that's not going to happen with 4 days, or at least not the sourcing locations I'm going to. An awesome day for me, going to a thrift store, let's say, is getting about 40 books. If I do that 4 days a week, that's great numbers for me. But even that I don't think is going to be possible. I think I'm more going to be 100 to 150. Right now I'm just under 100 a week on average. I mean, in August I did 339, so that was under 100 a week averaged out. But if I can get over 100 to 150 every week, that should be good to set me up for a great January, and then work on getting towards August of next year, try to get those 1,000 sales. Because if I can more than double what I did this month or this August, it would just be awesome. Because I did almost 6,000 in gross sales. So if I can get that up to 15 to 20,000 in sales, gross sales, that would just be awesome. And the most important thing to me though, guys, is just to have consistent sales all year and to hit those peak months as hard as you can. But I want to have great sales in June, in October, in March, all the months that might be slower. I want to still do well in those months. Just looking at my sales from February to June, they steadily went up. And aside from when I bumped up because I got that CD lot, basically it was growing every month. So that's my goal, to keep on growing it. And now I'm going to be able to source more. So hopefully by, let's say, the beginning of this next year, I'll be doing 300 to 400 a month consistently. That's what I would be shooting for. I think ultimately for me, I should really do probably a video about this, but I think my ultimate goal is to be averaging about 500 sales every 2 weeks. So about 1,000 every 4 weeks, which is going to be about 13,000 or so sales a year, which would, require me to probably be sourcing at least 250 a week. So I can keep those numbers up. I might have to source more than that, but that's going to take me finding much better sources and being able to get more books in a shorter period of time. Thinking of these numbers in back to school, doing 412, I'd like to make that a norm and then jump up to 800, 900, 1,000 in the peak months. So that would be awesome. So I'll definitely shoot for that. In December, book sales are really strong, not as strong as August, but they're really strong. And CDs do really well, as do VHS tapes. And I'm sure vinyl. I'm sure a lot of people buy vinyl for themselves and as gifts to others. So all of those media categories do really well in December and going to do well in November too, but especially December, especially about 2 weeks or so before Christmas. A lot of people buy stuff at the very end there, and you can make a lot of sales. So that's why I recommend diversifying, or why I like to diversify. I love books. They're the easiest to source and list and ship out and deal with. CDs take more time, VHS tapes take a little bit more time, and vinyl takes a bit more time, as I'm doing right now. I have my table full of vinyl that I've kept for a few months now, and I'm finally going through it, tested it, and now I'm taking pictures. Just thinking forward here for the holidays, it's going to be great if you focus on diversifying as well. So August was awesome. I'm tending to meander here. Hopefully you had a great August. Let me know how your numbers were. 412 sales, 1409 ASP, did just under 6,000 gross sales. So it's crazy for me. For 2 years now, it's September, and September 2014 is when I sent in my first shipment, I believe, like 29 books. And now here I am 2 years later talking about doing 412 sales in 1 month and talking about growing that, doubling that and more is just crazy to me. 2 years is a short period of time, guys. It flies by, especially the more you get into this and the more you learn about it and the more you see the potential for FBA with books and other media. It's there. We can make crazy money in a relatively short period of time with a relatively low amount of money invested in the business. Very low supplies, inbound shipping, sourcing, paying the $40 to Amazon. It's not that much money considering how much you could potentially make in a short period of time. So it's an awesome opportunity. So let me know about your August numbers, and as always, remember, keep booking.